Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Sliders with Old Man Gaming. With me is
Philbilly330. What's up, old man fam?
yeah, we are here giving you guys the state of play for Borderlands 3 in April. We like to do this. We just decided to do this once a month at the very least. And we've got a lot of Borderlands related stuff to talk about and not a ton of time to talk about it in. So, of course, we have our resident Borderlands 3 expert, the Build Master General, Philbilly330 with us. So where we're going to start today is, of course, the DLC dropped. It had not dropped when we did our last state of play, so it's out now. We've both gotten a chance to play it. Our review is up on the channel if you want to check that out. So, Philbilly, what do you think? Give us your opinion of the DLC.
I really don't have any complaints with it. It doesn't have a raid boss. That kind of sucks. But other than that, I had a lot of fun playing through it. I played through it with mostly with Filthy Phil, who is our
Shout out.
Shout out to our favorite troll on our Discord. So. But we had a lot of fun playing through it, and it had a great storyline. It added quite a few good new weapons to it. It had great boss mechanics, in my opinion. Like, I felt like every boss that I fought was interesting, and I would definitely recommend that DLC to anybody who enjoys Borderlands.
You know, I gotta totally agree with you. I think it was a really good DLC. I really like the boss structure. The boss structure was amazing. They all kind of felt like that Valkyrie Squadron fight from the Maliwan takedown. I was disappointed with a couple of things. Obviously, I was disappointed that it was a little bit more of the same. Good, very good, but a little bit more of the same. They didn't give us anything really new mechanic-wise, and they didn't give us the raid boss everybody hoped for. It seems like they really want to keep the raid bosses just in the takedowns, which would be fine if they were giving us more takedowns.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: 0 to 10. You know what? We don't want to do that. We don't copy other people. Let's say 1 to 5 stars. What are you giving the DLC?
I'd give it a 4-star.
That's good.
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't have too much to complain about it. They didn't. I was a little nervous that they were gonna shove some of the wokeness, I guess, down your throat, and I didn't get that at all.
I didn't really feel that. I felt like it was a perfect balance on the wokeness. I thought that they did a really good job of making Wainwright and Hammerlock's love kind of feel really great without it being the entire thing of everything, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I still really felt for them. I thought that was really cool, but there was also a lot of other story to get through that didn't just center on that, which I thought was really cool as well.
I mean, hell, they had a badass NPC that wielded 2 sledgehammers.
Yeah, right. Can't get enough of him. If I was giving stars on just content alone, I'd probably give a 3, but I think that the writing of this DLC, and I didn't think they could beat the writing of the heist, but they did, and that would boost it up to a 4 for me. I've been kind of bored with this game, and for the writing to be so good that it just held me the entire time, I think is a testament to it. So that's something in itself. So is there anything else you want to say about the DLC before we move on?
No, not specifically about the DLC. I said, I sum it up. I mean, it was good. I would recommend you guys jump in if you have not.
Right, of course. Like I said, my personal review is up on the channel, and I think overall we summed it up. It's a good DLC without any spoilers. It's a lot of fun. If you like Borderlands 3, you're gonna like this. And I was really impressed again with the writing and how different this is from the main story and even the last DLC, but it still is really good because of that. Like, they gave you real variety in story, and that was nice. All right, so the next thing we just want to touch on, and we're not going to spend too much time on this, but they just added this totally bonkers, insane thing to Borderlands 3, which is called Borderlands Science. You can find the video online, and it's voiced by Mayim Bialik, TV's Blossom, and more recently from Big Bang Theory as Amy Farrah Fowler, which is crazy. If she ever played this game, I can't imagine that she would lend her voice to it. But basically, to explain it as quickly and easily as possible, is people are mapping the genetic codes of microbes, which make up like 60% of every human on the planet. But the microbes are all different and weird. So the computer, they use computers to actually map it, but computers get it wrong 75% of the time because of the fact that all the microbes are very unique or whatever. So what they do is they use this weird Tetris-style puzzle game in Borderlands to actually help get rid of the errored code, which I don't know how the hell that works. I have no idea how translating, like, fixing a computer's work translates into a weird puzzle game on Borderlands 3. But you can play it right now. You can go check out Borderlands 3 Science. There's a little arcade machine in Tannis's room. You go there and you hit the button, you play. And it's super weird, Phil. I purposely tried it out. I actually took a little in-game footage of it, which I'm going to try and put up during this section so that people can kind of see what it is. But it's super weird. Basically what it is there are faces on the side of the map, and then there's a grid with the faces that drop in, and you want to match the tiles up, and you get a certain number of like lifts to lift the tile up to where the faces are. And you play against each character in Borderlands. So you start against Claptrap, you play against him in 5 maps, and then once you've beaten all his maps, you get like a skin, like some sort of skin. In addition, each time you beat a level, and depending
so
on
they do have in-game rewards.
They do. There are some in-game rewards. That's the only in-game rewards that I can find is these skins. It might be more than that. I only beat 2, but in beating 2, I only got 2 skins, so I can only assume that it's just skins. It might be something more as you play longer. But in addition to that, as you beat these puzzles, you gain coins. And the coins can be spent for in-game boosters. So like you can for like 400 points, you can buy a 24-hour booster. All your combat experience is plus 100%. Stuff like that. So like you get in-game boosters that are consumable for the coins, and then you get skins for beating each level of the game. That's really all it is.
That's actually kind of cool.
It is. I didn't hate it. And I think I said something to you when you were asking me about it, when we were talking about it on the show, is you said, is it fun? And I said, I would say no, but the minute I started, I was like, oh, this is stupid. And then I played it for 30 straight minutes. And so it has this kind of like weird addictive property that once you start playing, you're like, well, I got to get through this one level and then I'll be fine. Okay, I'll just get through this level and then I'll be fine. It's got that kind of like addictive property to it, I suppose is the best way to say. But, it helps science.
I should stick in front of my wife and make her play.
Oh, dude. Jacqueline would love this, man. I'm telling you. You should definitely do that, like 100%. I think it's a really cool thing. I think it's weird as hell. Like, I don't know how this happens. Like, who calls who to like who's like, we need to solve science. Let's call Randy Pitchford. Like, I don't know how that happens, but so it's a real weird like connection. And then all of a sudden Mayim Bialik is part of it too. And you're like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand how these 3 things have somehow gotten together, but you help science by playing it. You get some in-game rewards. It's not that bad. I will say my only real downside to it is I don't know who would like suffer through the loading times of Borderlands 3 to play a dinky little puzzle game. Like, I just don't know who would do that. I wish they had stuck it in maybe the like opening title screen so you could just go right into it instead of having it like this arcade thing that you have to go to, because it's a lot of loading times to get to like play a Tetris game.
Yeah, I have a theory on how it started. So Maya wanted to help the science community, and she's like, you know what's like science? Magic. You know who's the greatest magician that's ever lived? Rand, and then that's how it was born.
that 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 explanation is about as implausible as this happening, so I can't really refute it. All right, so moving on. The next thing we want to talk about is so really cool announcement. The most definitive collection of all the Borderlands games other than Borderlands 3 is coming to the Switch. That includes Borderlands, the Legendary Edition or whatever it's called, Borderlands 2 with all of the DLC, and Borderlands, the pre-sequel, also with all of the DLC. So all of these games are getting all their DLC. They're all getting them on Switch. I think that's really cool. I think Philbilly will agree with that. It's nice to have more places to play. There is a serious downside, though, that I just wanted to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just agreeing. Yeah, I mean, it sucks that there's no cross-play because that would make it even cooler. But
it really would. The big downside to this, though, aside from the crossplay, you make a good point, is the fact that the cartridges themselves cost so much more money if they have more storage on them. So if you buy a physical copy of this, you will only get the initial Borderlands game. That's it. That's all you'll get on the cartridge. But you will get access by plugging that cartridge in to download all the other games. The problem with that is I think the entire download, even optimized for the Switch with all the games, is somewhere around 40 gigabytes. And that is double, like almost double the size of the Switch's base hard drive that you get when you first buy it.
Yeah, so basically means if you want it, you're going to have a secondary hard drive.
Yeah, well, and one nice thing about the
to
Switch,
be able to handle it.
Right. One nice thing about the Switch is that you have SD cards like that can actually be plugged in, and SD cards are naturally cheaper, but still that's a little bit irritating that you have to have an SD card to even play these games, especially since they're way old games.
Yeah, I get that. They are big though. Like, I mean, I see why. Like, I don't know what the solution is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. There's also something to be said about how like the cost analysis of the cartridge being bigger versus whatever, but and they are huge. You're right. They're huge games. There's a lot of content in what they're talking about here. It's just, I don't know. There's just something irks me about a company selling something that's too big for you to even have on the console that you purchased in the first place. Like, there's just something about that bothers me, I guess. Like, in my recollection, go ahead.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it doesn't make me as mad because it would make me madder if I could think of like a solution, you know, but
Right.
I can't. It
Right.
just kind of sucks.
I got to be honest, I think this is the only time that I can think of in which a game has come out that is too big for the initial hard drive of a system. I can't think of any, like there have been some big games come out, but I can't think of one game that's come out that's bigger than the hard drive of the box itself. So I think that's actually kind of a first, but you're right. There's no real solution. It's just, there's something about it that bugs me.
Yeah. And as well as them adding, porting over to the Switch, they also have been supporting like the Borderlands 3 itself pretty well, buffing weapons, and they're showing Mo's some love lately, which is good. Um, so, as far as that goes, it's, they're doing some good things.
Yeah, and people love Moe's, man. People love Moe's.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to know how much people love Moe's, take all our build videos. The one with Moe's is easily the one that's most
Yeah,
popular.
for real.
Okay. All right, the final news-based topic we're going to talk about in this state of play, before we kind of just talk about Borderlands 3 as a whole in general, is real big downside, and it's going to kind of transition into us talking about the state of Borderlands because I think it's going to affect it. So the way Gearbox is set up is Gearbox developers don't get paid as much normally for their work as other development companies. The way that Gearbox does it, though, is they have the best profit sharing agreements with their employees and major development
Hmm.
teams. So they don't get paid as much during the time, but they get these huge back end checks to make up for it when the game gets sold and gets high sales. So the big news thing, the big inside baseball news thing going around right now is Randy Pitchford basically told his team to go F themselves, and they're not getting anywhere near the back end checks that they were expected, and not only just expected, but told by upper management that they were going to get, which has put that development team in. I mean, nobody's saying it outright, but the rumor and the kind of whispers is that everybody there is unhappy, and a lot of those developers are looking to jump ship to go to other places. Gearbox has also drawn a lot of heat from other companies who have condemned them for this. So what do you think about this, Phil?
Well, I think it's a terrible look. It's the word. It's bad enough that Gearbox and Randy did this to its employees and kind of took advantage of their hard work. It's even worse timing just because of what the country is going through, what the world's going through, really, with the pandemic at hand. And this could people are hurting financially, and this could put a strain on the developers that have put in a lot of hard work, and I don't blame them for being upset. I think it will be very telling very soon, what the outcome of this is, because we have a lot of content that is scheduled to come out, fairly soon. Like, I'm talking 2-3 weeks away. We're supposed to be getting the raid, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
uh yeah, I think that's scheduled for the beginning of April, right? Or
May,
beginning of May,
beginning of
I
May.
believe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I am going to go out on a limb and say that they probably were working on that stuff when the shit hit the fan. And I don't think it was done. Like, I would highly doubt that it was ready to drop, 2 weeks ago when this came to light.
Right. I think what else bothers me is not even just the actual cutting of the pay. It's the tone of how he cut the pay. Was basically like, if you don't like it, quit. It wasn't even like hey, we didn't make as much money as we expected to make. Like, afterwards, the company itself released a statement basically saying, like, we didn't make as much as we thought we were going to make, or we didn't cover costs or whatever. But the initial, like, shareholders meeting was basically like, hey, you don't like it, quit. There was no like, hey, we're in a rough situation, we need everybody to sacrifice, or any sort of empathetic outreach to everybody. It was a middle finger to his own developers. And I think personally, this game survives in spite of Randy Pitchford. And I think this might be that straw on the camel's back that it can't take. I mean, I can't see quality not taking a dip when your most important players have been highly insulted and slighted a ton of money.
Yeah, and as far as how it was handled too, in my opinion, like, yeah, he could have handled it better, but really there is no excuse for any of that. I hate when companies use that as like an excuse that, oh, they sold tons of copies and maybe they didn't make as much as they planned on, but that is not new news. They
Right.
knew that shit. They knew they were over budget the day they released that game. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that is such a cop out that these big companies pull, and to try, I don't know if they're trying to get sympathy or empathy or what it is, but I hate that excuse. That you cannot tell me that you didn't know what you had to do until just now. You know what I mean?
Well, and I'll back you up even further. One of the reasons that Randy is getting so criticized for this is he just took a like $6 million bonus last year.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
like, why are you taking a $6 million bonus last year and not paying your developers this year? You know, there's another thing about it too, where if you weren't going to cover costs, and this was going to all they were going to make, whatever, but they told them ahead of time that they were going to be making more than this. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I feel like it was a carrot on a stick situation.
Yeah, it's a man with a god complex who
Mm-hmm.
thinks that they need him more than he needs them, type of thing.
Yeah.
And he's not the only person in power to have done it, and unfortunately he won't be the last, and that doesn't make it okay. It's terrible. You know, like, he didn't make this game. He
Right.
may have had a hand in it and he may be talented and whatever, but one man in any industry is nothing without everyone behind him.
Well, and
uh,
especially
it's
this is,
aggravating to me that, yeah.
yeah, especially this
Go
industry.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think there's a
Yeah.
slight delay. I keep accidentally interrupting you, but there's especially in this industry, you need a team. You need a team behind you. Like that's the way it's got to be. And I'm not gonna I'm not gonna take away Randy Pitchford's contributions to gaming. He has contributed a ton to gaming, and I don't think anybody out there would doubt it. But that doesn't mean he gets to treat everybody terrible. It just doesn't.
Yeah, and he's not taking a hit to his pocketbook, but everyone else should. It's not.
Right.
It's wrong in every sense of the way.
I completely agree. That is, you're 100% right. Like if he was taking a hit, okay, but he's not taking a hit, and that's where the problem is. And you know what? I don't even think we need to take a little pause break to go right into the state of play. Let's just transition right into it. So, what do you think, Phil? What do you think about Borderlands 3 right now? The state it's in? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? What's your take?
So, um, since the DLC dropped, I feel like the state of the game has gotten better. Um, we got a little bit more. However, the there's not a ton of replayability in the DLC. There's a little bit more than the last DLC, but not a ton. Um, the reason we got more content from my perspective is because now we got a level cap raise that can actually change uh, the meta a little bit. You know what I mean? It
Mm-hmm.
changes up some builds. They added some guns and relics and shields that change play styles, which is good. However, in my opinion, the game needs raids. Like if that's how they're going to handle it, it needs raids and it needs it bad. We've already talked about, getting extras, and I don't see that in the horizon. It needs more content because we have a boost. I think it's in a better state, but that's only going to last, you know, so long.
Right.
And with this crap we just talked about, now I'm afraid um, that what it needs isn't gonna happen. Even it'll take even longer, if it does happen at all, than it would have prior to, this.
Right. I mean, so the way I see it is kind of an agreement with you. I think most Borderlands players, they play the content, they enjoy the content, but they come back to the raids. Usually in the previous games, those raids have been intermingled and interwoven into DLC and the games. So now they're doing the takedowns. I get that, but I would prefer if they were doing it this way. And I'm not even talking about the extra character thing. I'm not going to harp on that again, but if this was the content they want to release, just this, I would rather them wait a couple of extra months and then release the DLC story with 3 raids, 3 takedowns at the same time, so that I can do the story, be entertained by the story, then go into the 3 takedowns. I mean, if the game is going to be about raids, then they need to give us more raids, just like you said. I think, and that's the thing, like every hardcore Borderlands player played this DLC, got what they could get out of the guns, and they have probably already gone back to the takedown, the Malawan takedown. I mean, is that a fair assumption in your opinion?
Yeah, yeah, you make a good point. That is, I think that you kind of nailed the problem on the head. Is they give us a little bit of content, and a little bit to work with, but then you're done. Like, so we got the DLC, it was great. We get to start making our builds and playing with stuff, and then you're out. You don't have, like, all you have to go take your new badass builds into is the raid that's been around since December.
Mm-hmm.
I think you kind of nailed it. Like, they're giving us content, but it's too. So what happens is you get the community back in, you get them in strong, but then by the time the next thing comes out, they've fizzled out again, and now they're just coming back. They're not like staying flatline. They're like, it's peaking and then dropping off, and then peaking and dropping off,
Right.
instead of peaking and plateauing and just keeping that consistent player base going. And
Well,
it can be seen just when I hop on Xbox and look at my friends list of who's playing the game. Those first 2 weeks after the DLC, all these dudes that I had played with in the past are on Borderlands 3. Now, only the super hardcore guys are on. You know
right.
what I mean? I think you're right.
Well, and that's the problem. Another problem with the peaking and flatlining is every time you flatline, less come back. And that's a big issue, is every time you flatline, less people are going to come back for the next peak. And I think that's a serious problem. I personally, I would prefer them to do some more varied content, such as characters or different weapon types, such as like melee or stuff like that. But if they wanted to do like the straight Borderlands experience, yeah, I think they need to give you more raids and worry less about the overall content stuff. Um, and as far as the pay thing goes, I'm really worried, because the only thing that's been keeping me coming back and keeping me in this thing is that writing, is that great writing that's been happening for the last 2 DLCs. Uh, what's going to happen with the 3rd DLC? Are we even going to get anywhere near that writing? Or are we going to end up with low quality stuff because they're losing people, you know?
Yeah. And you got these new mayhem modes coming out supposedly soon, which I'm nervous about. But is that gonna get delayed with developers being pissed off and or leaving? Are we gonna have another longer drought than anticipated? They haven't really um, uh, came out to try to act like everything's okay or act like things are bad. They haven't, to be honest, they haven't said anything.
Right. Right. And we've got another event coming, and I gotta say, the last event was a freaking joke. So I'm very worried that this next event is going to be something similar to that. Um, so I don't know. I am worried about it going forward. I'm with you in the camp that I feel like the DLC gave us something really great, but at the same time, once it was done, personally, me being a little bit more of a casual player, the minute I was done with it, I was done with it. You know, I was immediately on to something else. And I know you're on it, but you're on it to farm. And then you're going to be back on the takedown doing the heavy stuff, you know, and that's going to get boring for you as well. So,
Yeah, yeah. Basically, right now I'm making builds so I can share my build videos with you guys, and then I need to test the builds because it's still the hardest content in the game, and it has been for the past 4 months. And then once I'm done with those builds for the characters I run, if nothing else has come out, I'm in the same position I was in for the past month or so, where I'm like, well, I need to step away until something happens so I don't get, totally burned out.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything. I know we're probably going a little bit long at this point, but I think we really had I think probably our best Borderlands State of Play show, I think, was this one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Philbilly, you got anything to promote?
If you haven't checked out my build video, please do so. Mandalorian King Flak build. It's insane, guys. I think you'll really like it. If you're a Flak player, it should be right up your alley.
And that should be, I think that's actually probably going to come out before this. So definitely go check it out. Philbilly's build. We call him the Build Master General for a reason. So okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, you can find us on Facebook at Old Man Gaming DH. You can find us on Twitter at Old Man Gaming 9. You can of course join our Discord. We are of course thirsty for conversation with you there. And being in our Discord gives you access to Philbilly, Filthy Phil, world's greatest troll, and a bunch of other players who are very into Borderlands. And if you need help, Philbilly is always willing to help you with the build. So please join in there. Check out the chat thread, Borderlands trading post, and just post anything in there. We check it regularly, and we can help you out with anything. So other than that, as usual, my sign off is as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep on making them. And as for this show, we'll see you guys in May. And hopefully Borderlands stays good.
Later, guys.